Okay, we have a 1980s Miele bike. This is a Canadian brand. Looks like it has a lot of original parts. There's mostly X-Age and Shimano LX parts on it, so the brakes are X-Age. I'm not sure these handlebars are original, but there's Shimano stem. You can see Miele made in Canada. I'm not even sure how you pronounce that, but that's what I'm saying. X-Age brakes. Um, there's a really nice chrome fork on here, but it's pretty pitted and rusted. I'm not sure how that's going to come out. We shall see. It's got a 105 hub here in the front, which looks pretty nice. And black rims. It doesn't have any tires. There's Sport LX shifters here. The entire drivetrain is Sport LX. We got somebody's favorite stickers. Love these little hearts on the lugs there. Um, Miele, you can see there's the Italian kind of flag colors there. It's got an old BioPace chainring, which is going to go. Sport LX front derailleur, which is going to go as well. I'm going to turn this into a 1x10 setup. You can see it's got Columbus tubing, not the top of the line type of tubing, but pretty good. So it's nice quality. It's nice and light steel. It has internal routing here on the top tube, which is kind of fun. So this is the rear brake. It feeds in from the brake here and then goes just briefly into the top tube, pops out, and then goes into the rear brake. Here's an old Terry saddle. There's X-Age rear brakes back here. You can see there's like rusting a little bit. Obviously, there's no tires on this. The whole back wheel is going to get rebuilt, but I'm going to use these Mavic rims to rebuild a new wheel for it. Sport LX rear derailleur. Also going to put a brand new derailleur on there that can take a 1x10. Right now it's set up for a 2x6 with a Campagnolo hub on there. We're going to change that all out. Chain isn't bad, but we're going to change it out because we're making it a 1x10. All right, let's get it on the rack and start taking it apart. Headset coming off here. It was pretty clean. No problem. Pretty good shape. Crank set coming off both sides. Taking a look at this fixed cup. I think it's reverse threaded, but I had a tough time getting it off. In fact, I couldn't get it off and ruined 3 different tools in the process, so I just left it on there. Didn't want to damage any more tools or the frame. So we're just going to move on to cleaning it up. Clean up the frame, cleaning up these small parts, getting everything scrubbed up, rust-free, degreased, especially scrubbing up this fork. Took a lot of kind of detail and patience. You can't get rid of the pitting, but you can get rid of the rust. So you can see after about 10 minutes of scrubbing, it looks like this. You can see the difference from one side to the other. After about 25 minutes of scrubbing, it looks like this. So I think it came out really well, nice and shiny. I'm quite pleased with how it came out. Looks good. Now I can turn my attention to the frame. We can see that a newer hub has a spacing of 130 millimeters, but these old 80s frames have 126. So we need to expand it with a 2x4 and this tool. Also with the sophisticated piece of equipment called a string to keep everything straight and in line. So we expand the dropout little by little, careful to measure regularly and measure against the string to make sure it's expanding evenly. This got to the right width, but it was crooked. So I had to use the 2x4 to kind of straighten it out. Even though it was the right width, I had to push it down on one side and pull it up on the other just to make sure the frame alignment was correct. You don't want your frame alignment to be out of whack, and that's what the string demonstrates. So got it expanded, all in alignment. Now I'm taking some important measurements so that we can build the wheel out, get the right size spokes. Here's everything you need to build a wheel. We're going to get cracking, start with lacing. This is going to be a 36-hole 3-cross wheel. Bringing up the tension once the lacing is done. Do that all the way around. Then we start thinking about truing, roundness, and we want to bring the tension up as high as possible so that it's a nice strong wheel that stays in true. This is my improvised dishing tool. I basically use just like a stack of coins to make sure one side is the same as the other side. So I got it within kind of 1/4 width, which is a quarter is about 1.2 millimeters. So that's within tolerance if one side to the other is about like 0.5 millimeter difference from one side to the other. That's quite all right for my purposes. And then we pre-stress the wheel a little bit. This is my preferred method for pre-stressing the wheel. It works out pretty well and keeps the wheel in balance. Hub sound. And we have a nice pretty wheel. And here's everything we need to put the bike back together. We've got a nice clean frame. We've got all the small parts that have been cleaned up. There's some new parts in here, new brake pads, pedals, grips, a new chain ring, a lot of old parts as well, but some new things. You can see our brand new built wheel that we have there, and new tires. So let's get it put together, starting with the bottom bracket. Get that all greased up and put back together. I like to mark which side is the drive side on these older bottom brackets. And you got to take your time threading that back in there. These are really easy to cross thread. Make sure you get that all cinched down so there's free movement but no play in that bottom bracket. Putting the headset back on, pretty easy. We'll get it cinched up as well. Then we're going to put the narrow wide chain ring on this crankset with some nice pretty pink chain ring bolts. Came out pretty well. Crankset going back on. These old bottom brackets are real smooth actually. Other side going on. Looks great. That narrow wide chain ring, I ended up having to run it on the outside of the crankset just to give myself a little bit more space. Stem goes on. Handlebars, I decided instead of drop bars I was going to make this a flat bar. Looks pretty good. It's not that wide, this flat bar. Shifter and brakes are going on. I'll have a note about the shifter in a bit. So I originally put on this shifter in here. It's a friction shifter. It ratchets, but it's not indexed. It's okay. It's a little clunky, and it didn't shift great. So I ended up switching it out for a nicer one. This is from Rivendell Bike Works. And it just has really nice refined ratcheting. It's very smooth. It's just a much better shifter. So we're going to use that one instead. Here goes the cassette. Wheels are all done. Throwing on some inner tubes and tires. Getting the rear derailleur in there. I used a Dior mountain bike rear derailleur, and I just have to check to make sure it will clear the 10-speed cassette. Because technically it's probably like an 8 or 9 speed derailleur, but with a friction shifter it doesn't matter. So we just have to match up our chain, make sure that's a 10-speed chain, and then the shifter is going to shift all the way up through these 10 speeds. So once you get rid of indexing and just use friction, it shifts great. So the friction shifter can go one at a time. You can see we can get it all the way up to 10 speeds. And shift it all the way back down. something nice about friction shifters is it can shift so fast all the way up and all the way down. Can't really do that on index shifting. All right, brakes going on. Getting close to the finish now. Rear brake. Get those dialed in so they're nice and snappy. Here goes the brake cabling. The rear brake is internally routed, so the easiest way was to kind of go backwards, use a magnet to fish out the cable, and then guide the cable housing through, and then thread in the brake cable. Brakes looking snappy. There are a couple of pieces that I 3D printed. This is a down tube cable boss cover. That is for the internal routing. So I designed them myself, printed them. They came out pretty good. The cable boss, the down tube boss cover came out pretty well. Looks pretty good. This one, I intended it for it to just kind of snap in. But didn't really work out. It sort of didn't stay, and it was kind of hard. The PLA wasn't as flexible as I needed to be, so I ended up going with some moldable putty that kind of dries with a little bit of flexibility, and this actually worked out pretty good. So you can see it has a little bit of flex, but it kind of holds in place and also doesn't damage the frame. New pedals, getting the grips on there, and here it is. A nice flat bar urban bike. It's quick, it's fun to ride. You can see there's the Rivendell bike shifter. It's really nice, shiny chrome fork, 3D printed parts, Miele logo. Love those little heart details. New seat. You can even see the internal cable routing. Pop of color on the narrow wide chain ring. 1x10 Dior XT brand new hub. It is looking pretty good, and it rides sweet.